People are often surprised by how much money it can take to retire at 55 or 60, as opposed to waiting to normal retirement age of 65 or 67. So in today's video, I'm going to share why it's harder to retire at 55 with $2 million dollars than what many people think. Now, there's a lot of reasons to retire early. I'm a fan of it. I myself retired at 59, but it's important we go in with our eyes open. And to help with this, I want to use a free online tool. It's called Honest Math. And let's jump in. I like Honest Math because it gives you a high level picture. It's very simple. I would not use it to make the retirement decision, but for a high level overview, I think it's a great tool. Okay, there's four sections. There's the personal information, then the portfolio, then the expenses and the settings. So let's start off with the personal information. So this person has $2 million. They're 55 years old. They're married. Um, and the birth date I just put in is January 1, 1970. Their life expectancy is 90. So they're going to have 35 years that their retirement accounts need to fund their lifestyle. And for Social Security, I put in $4,000 a month. Why $4,000? Again, this is a married couple, so there's two of them getting Social Security, and the average Social Security check is about $2,000 a month. So they're going to start collecting that at their full retirement age, which for them will be 67 years old. And next section, now we're going to move on to the next section, which talks about the portfolio. I mentioned earlier that the portfolio has $2 million in it, and the rest of this is just the default for honestmath.com. You can see here that the portfolio is 60% stocks, 40% bonds. None of this is financial advice. I don't know your situation, but having been a financial advisor, that's not an uncommon, probably a little more conservative, but it's in the ballpark of something that might be reasonable. Okay, for expenses, I'm putting in $8,000 a month. We're going to adjust that later. But at $8,000 a month and everything else is just the defaults, inflation at 2%, 75% of the portfolio is taxable. The taxable portion of the retirement income is 80% of the retirement income is going to be taxable. Next is the settings. Again, all of this I just left for the default, but it's important for you to know that honest math, the default is that stocks are going to return 8% over time. The standard deviation on that 17%. In bonds, the returns are 4.5% with a standard deviation of 7%. And I leave everything else as the default. So this is the simulation. It's a Monte Carlo simulation, which is a statistical method to run 10,000 different scenarios based on different sequences of returns, whether you're lucky and get good returns early or you're unfortunate and get poor returns early. That's called sequence of return risk. And you can see out of this, we have pale blue shaded area. The top of that is the people that got lucky, right? They retired at 55 with $2 million, and then 35 years later, when they're 90, their portfolio is worth over 6 million. The bottom of the pale blue shaded area is people run out of money somewhere between 79 and 80, and that blue line is the median. Half the people did better, half the people did worse. So few people are going to feel comfortable with this, right? The unlucky people are running out of money at 79 years old. Most people aren't going to like that. So let's go back here. And the first thing I want to do is what happens if they start taking Social Security early? So we're going to leave everything else the same. The only thing I'm changing here is they start taking Social Security at 62 as opposed to 67. They're going to get 70% of that other benefit. The benefit was $4,000 a month. Now they're going to get 70% of that, which is $2,800 a month. And when we run the numbers, you can see it's a little bit better. The unlucky people run out of money at about 80. Again, a lot of people, unless they know they have health issues and they're not going to make it to 80, most people are not going to be comfortable with that. So let's go back and change things again. First, we're going to put the Social Security back at 67 with $4,000 a month. So that now we're back to the standard case. And now what we're going to do is we're going to say instead of $8,000 a month of living expenses, let's take it to $7,000 a month. So that would be $84,000 a year. And that's all your income, including your Social Security. And you can see here, people make it to a little over 86 before they run out of money. The unlucky people, the lucky people have over, what is that, $8 million. In the median case, half the people have more, half the people have less, that dark blue line. Their portfolio value went from $2 million to $3 million. So this is in the ballpark of where some people, actually, I think many people would feel comfortable with this, but not all. And it doesn't mean you should feel comfortable with this. Okay, so now let's take our expenses back to $8,000 a month. Let's say people say, hey, Azul, I don't want to cut back on expenses. I want to be able to spend what I want to spend. So let's give them the $8,000 a month. It's important to note that that gets increased by the rate of inflation, which honest math is assuming 2% a year. So let's go back to the portfolio and let's increase that instead of $2 million. Let's increase that to $2.5 million. So they've gotten a 25% increase. You know, if they get fortunate, that can happen in 2 to 3 years. It may take an extra 5 years. It may take an extra 7 years. It may take an extra decade. There's no telling. But let's say that when they have $2.5 million, now I'm leaving it at 55, which is kind of a worst case scenario, that they're retiring at 55, but instead of 2 million, they have 2.5 million. And here you can see even the unlucky people do not run out of money during their lifetime. Now, this is a simulation. It doesn't mean nobody would ever run out of money, but it says statistically you're likely going to be fine if you're spending $8,000 a month and you retire with that $2.5 million. Statistically, you should be fine. So what does this mean to all of us? First, do you want to optimize on life or do you want to optimize on your bank account? And I think the right answer is, hey, Azul, that's a false question. The right question is, how do I get both, right? How do I optimize on life while making sure I have peace of mind with a solid retirement plan? And that's what most of us want, right? We want to be able to retire with confidence. And so to do that, this is a high level tool, but I think it's helpful to have our own plan. For instance, you saw how the difference was if people spend 7,000 a month versus 8,000 a month. That's important because sometimes people retire and then they drift away from those initial spending rules and they find themselves spending more, which is not a problem, but you want to go back to the plan and say, is this a problem? Now, honest math is a good tool, but it's super high level. The tool I like, the tool I like the best for doing this work is working with a fiduciary financial advisor, somebody that has your best interest in mind. Many folks are going to say, yes, well, they're hard to find. I'd rather do it myself. I don't trust somebody else. And if that's your situation for whatever reason, if you don't see yourself hiring a financial advisor, I urge you to think about using a software tool that's designed to help you make good retirement decisions. The software I like is called Bolden. You can find it at this link here and at this QR code. I am an affiliate. You'll be supporting the channel. I get a small piece of that. But it's a great tool because it's easy to go back and tweak things yourself. If you like this video, the YouTube algorithm says this is the next video of mine. You should watch next. Bye-bye.